Welcome inside for another edition of SJHL Weekly. It feels like we were just here Because we kind of were on Thursday. We did this episode, or we did this show, but we're doing it again because there was a big weekend. We got to recap it all. We're going to talk about the playoff picture now that we're definitely down into the home stretch. We're going to look at some strength of schedule insights, which I think is going to be a really cool thing to do as we kind of do look into that playoff picture and who's still in the race and who's fighting for spots. And we're going to talk to star forward of the Ronge Ice Wolves, Cole Thomas, today. He's our special guest. So very excited to be joined by Cole later on in the show. We'll talk about players of the week and so much more. But we got to talk about our sponsors first and foremost. So let's start it off with Borgo, Capital Auto Mall, Cantera Seeds, Sask Lotteries, Chevrolet, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Nutrien, Tourism Saskatchewan, Sask Energy, UPL, SGEU, Great Western, SGI, and RBC. Thank you to everybody there. And if you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, make sure you hit all the buttons. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button. Comment in, let us know what you want to talk about. We'll read your comments on the show throughout the day, so make sure you do that. And get your Flow Hockey subscription if you haven't already, because it's a great way to watch and stay tuned to all of the action across the SJHL. And if you do tune into Flow Hockey, there's a 2 out of 12 chance you're going to be hearing one of these gentlemen on the broadcast that you tune into. Jamie Neugebauer on the far end there from the Notre Dame Hounds, Rory McGouran of the Humboldt Broncos. Gentlemen, your weekends, how were they? Nugsy, let's start with you.
Yeah, I mean, you got 4 more opportunities to hear me broadcast from the Duncan McNeil Arena. So maybe take advantage of that, I guess, if you like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We were going to have a segment where we were going to talk about names for the Warman team that we liked, but we kind of scrapped it. But I'd like to hear anyways what you guys think.
Sure,
My favorite one, I'm just going to throw it out there, is the Warman Fuzzies.
The Warman Fuzzies.
And somebody on the SJHL forums, this is the best thing that happened to me this week.
Yeah?
Really. On the SJHL forums, somebody suggested that little Nugsy from Nugs and Notes was the logo for the Warman team.
Yeah, the
mascot. And I said that would be awesome, but I think that would go straight to his little head.
Yeah.
And he'd start making demands like, I'm only getting to eat the red and the orange Skittles, and I want more and more Skittles, and things like that. So that was a cool thing to see. But
that was actually really funny.
But honestly, lots of people have reached out and been very kind in the things they've said to me. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Rory, how about your weekend?
Awesome. Hockey being played, Humboldt, Melfort with back-to-back games. It'll be one of our topics we go through in the initial show. Had a baby shower.
Oh, yeah.
Also on
Sunday. Right. How'd that go?
It was great. It was great.
Yeah, not for you.
Not for me. No. Megan did
Breaking news!
Megan did a great job helping plan it along with Bobby, Carter's wife, Amy, our office administrator, another team staff of the Broncos, hosted it. And it was for Skip and Becca, like the trainer of the Broncos and Becca, and they're having a daughter. And it was awesome. It was a great time at the baby shower.
Yeah,
there you go.
Love that.
Skipper's going to have the baby in one arm. He's going to be
Skipper's
sharpening skates with the other.
To be a girl dad, 100%.
Oh, that's great. Congrats to all the people there. That's awesome. Let's have a look at the recaps from the weekend. We'll take a look at the scores as we dive into the action over the 3 days. We did have 3 days of games, so we'll start with Friday. This was a big one. Estevan really took it to Notre Dame on Friday night, 9-0 at Affinity Place. Nugsy got his pizza, though, so he was okay. Melville got a 5-3 win over LaRange, which was a crucial loss for LaRange. We'll talk about that. Nipawin with a huge 7-5 win over the Weyburn Red Wings. I don't think a whole lot of people had that on their bingo cards necessarily, but Nipawin's playing some great hockey lately. The Flin Flon Bombers snuck away with a 4-1 win on the road in Yorkton. Battlefords with a 3-2 win in Kindersley, and start of a big weekend for Battlefords, and not so good weekend for Kindersley. And Humboldt with a 4-3 shootout victory over the Melfort Mustangs. And then on Saturday, a couple of these teams played against each other again. A couple of these teams continued road trips. One of them being Nipawin. They got a 7-2 victory. Again, 7 goals for the Nipawin Hawks over the Estevan Bruins. Melfort snuck out a 4-3, very, very close game against the Humboldt Broncos in Humboldt. Melville with a 3-1 win over Flin Flon. LaRange with a 4-2 win over the Yorkton Terriers, a huge win for them. And then Battlefords again with another win over the Kindersley Clippers. And on Sunday, Nipawin was in action again, and they got another 5 goals. So that was a 19-goal weekend for the Nipawin Hawks, a 5-3 victory over the Notre Dame Hounds. Let's go to the headlines. We'll start, a lot of Nipawin talk there, but we'll start in the headlines with LaRoran back. Now, we've had some really good LaRange ones in the last couple shows, guys. Last week it was out of La Reach, question mark. This week it's Lauren back. Larange really had an interesting weekend, but it wasn't so much about what they did as it was about the team that is ahead of them directly, the Kindersley Clippers. Rory, let's start with you, with Larange.
It wasn't even last Monday. It was Thursday when we did the show.
Right.
So it's crazy what 5 days, right, can do to out of Lareach to now Rory back, because that's exactly what it is. It's an absolute race right now. They've both played 49 games. They're 4 points separated. And this upcoming weekend, they play each other, which is going to be absolute fireworks. Hey, you got to give props to Larange, because at one point, not that long ago, 9 points out. And it's a big topic of what I want to talk to Cole Thomas about, is just hanging on to that belief and that confidence, knowing 9 points at any time in this season seemingly is really hard to make up. And they've made up 5 of it in a hurry, right? Where they're only 4 points back. Basically, it's a two-team race now. I do believe Humboldt-Battleford is too far ahead now. They're not going to slip back down into the playoff race in terms of potentially being eliminated. So it's Kindersley and Larange, and it's going to go down to the wire. Larange picks up 4 out of 8 points this weekend. Their special teams is rolling. Their work ethic is off the chain. And meanwhile, Kindersley, the reason why Larange can have this boost of confidence is they went 0 for their last 6 points that are available. Special teams not rolling, 1 for their last 13. Right now, the tiebreaker does belong to Kindersley. So if that does stay kind of the same with the row, Larange is going to have to pass them in points. So they need 5. But 4 big ones coming up this weekend. A huge win over Yorkton, 4-2, where they outshot the Terriers on the road, 42-27. They were flying, but more props to Larange just not giving up when they were so far behind to close the gap. And Kindersley, they could have pulled away, but they didn't. And now we got a race.
And 4 games in 5 days for Larange as well. And you're talking about flying and peppering Yorkton with shots. On their 4th game in 5 days in Yorkton, a top 4 team in our league, you talked about the special teams. Larange is killing penalties in this month at a clip of 93%.
Wow.
They do not allow power play goals. Their power play is just flying as well. And, I always say, we always talk about it, you need goaltending, you need special teams when you go out on the road. Well, the Ronge Ice Wolves got that in spades. Graham Brown was very good. Logan Falk was very good when he needed to be as well. And look, this Larange team, they're not very young. They have a bunch of young players that they like, but their heart, their core, they stabilized with some veteran players, and Jacob Gazette and Cole Thomas and Logan Falk, and obviously Rylan Silzer is not around because of his injury situation, but he's there to provide that support and help out. And the young guys, because they've been insulated that way, have been able to really show up, and good for them to really stay alive. And you know what? You can say, well, we're worried about who they're facing the rest of the way, blah, 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 but if you beat whoever's in front of you, it doesn't really matter.
Right, exactly. Rory, you want?
Yeah, we're going to take a look at strength of schedule moving down.
Yeah.
And I know it's a hypothetical question. Let's assume for that sake that Melfort will finish ahead of Flin Flon, right? It is a 9-point gap. Looks like Melfort's probably going to be in first at the end of the season. We always talk about the middle teams, the teams from 4 to 8. Who are those top teams not wanting to face? Just go one series. Is Melfort hoping that is Kindersley? Is Melfort hoping that Larange passes Kindersley? Is there a team that matches up better with Melfort? Or is there a team that maybe can extend the series? Because Melfort's going to be the favorite against either of them, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say that. Call an apple an apple. Is that not the same? Or is it
Call an apple an apple?
Or a spade a spade.
spade a spade. That's it. I went fruit with it.
You said apples and oranges. You got
Fruit's unreal.
But is there a team that maybe wears Melfort down more?
Yeah. Well, I think it's probably Larange. You have to go up to the Mel.
Yeah.
Obviously, familiarity breeds contempt. Getting a little bit of an older team, actually, in Larange as well, a little bit more experience there. And Kevin Kaminsky, he's been around a while. He understands it all. So, I think probably Larange is the answer.
And is there any better storyline with all of this than the fact that they made one of the biggest trades at the trade deadline together, the Larange Ice Wolves and the Kindersley Clippers? And we'll get into that later in the show. The Mason Buchert trade obviously caused a lot of headlines and ripple effects across the league, but that will be something we'll get into later in the show. We'll save it. Let's bring back up the headlines, guys. We're going to move right along here as to our second one, and it's called Error Free. And we're talking about 2 teams in particular. We're talking about Battlefords and Melville. These guys had a huge weekend. Nugsy, I'm going to start with you. You can start with either team, whatever one you want.
Yeah.
But both those teams are firing on all cylinders right now. Melville specifically a 9-game win streak.
Yeah.
Battleford's obviously won their last 2, but go ahead.
Well, I loved, first of all, I'm going to go on Battleford's here. And I loved when Nikita Ivashenko came on Insider and talked about how they go back to practice. And they're like, they don't give us the respect at the league office that we deserve. And fair enough, because they've put their money where their mouth is lately. And you know what? I look at this, the way that Marty Smith has coached. One of the things that's been a staple is keeping lines together for a longer time than maybe other coaches. Maybe a little bit less of a panic factor, if you want to call it that, for the coaching staff for the Battleford's North Stars to keep guys together. What we've seen is Ivashenko with Anthony Campbell and Josh Nittig as a fixture together. And what happens over that stretch is Nikita Ivashenko, fellas, a 12-game point streak, 11-game goal scoring streak, goals in 11 games in a row for Mr. Ukrainian national team. Ivashenko, terrific. And obviously having Jackson Allen back, fit and healthy and ready to go, you can't underestimate the importance of that in that locker room, both for quality in terms of character and leadership, but also what he does on the ice. And, who do you match up against? Do you match up against the Ivashenko line or the Jackson Allen line? It's a much bigger problem now when you face the Battleford's North Stars. So we've seen that as the issue. But obviously, everybody is circling Nikita Ivashenko, fellas, when the Stars play you. But it doesn't seem to matter because he's just a level above. And you know what? I got to give them credit. When Justin Merrick is healthy and playing, obviously it's a big difference. He hasn't been able to stay healthy as much as he would have liked this year. But when he is, it's a big deal for the Battleford's North Stars.
When their whole team is healthy, and I know that they're still rolling with a minus goal differential. It's actually increased. It's minus 12 right now.
Yeah.
But when their whole team is healthy, I don't see a lot of holes in them.
No.
Right? And it's crazy because you mentioned the forward depth. The acquisition of Michael Carter, we'll talk about that, with Jordan Grill, Kearney. They have experienced defensemen. They have young defensemen, Lincoln Fisher. They have a top-tier goaltender when healthy.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of holes in the Battleford's North Stars, and a team that can absolutely shock anyone in the first round of the playoffs. It's weird that they're a minus goal differential. I'm having headphone problems again here, guys. All the time. They're falling out of my little ears.
Struggling.
But yeah, just that's my point. If they can be a healthy team in the playoffs, they're a dangerous team to anyone in that first round they match up with.
And we've talked all year about how Kindersley likes to push you around and they like to play on that edge and kind of annoy you and piss you off over the course of a hockey game. What did we see? We saw the Battleford's North Stars push back, and not that, we're sitting here maybe condoning line brawls and stuff and whatever, but there's definitely an entertainment factor. And on Friday night, between these two rivals, at the end of the game, things got heated, things got a little out of control, and a lot of suspensions came of it. Who's in the middle of it for Kindersley? Stein, Dostal, Perlingers, etc., as you'd expect. But the Stars weren't willing to be pushed around too. I don't know who's squaring up with Jordan Grill, but good for you for doing that. But look, you know what? That rivalry is spicy as ever, and the Battleford's North Stars have a lot more pride than we gave them credit for.
Just in case. I have the list here if you want them.
Yeah. Sure.
I mean,
throw it in, because I was going to add to it. So go
Stein
ahead. Go for it.
Dostal was a 2-game suspension. Brock Evans was a 2-game suspension. Shane Tibbles a 3-game suspension. And Zach Anderson a 1-game suspension, which has now been served at the Saturday game for the Clippers. For the North Stars, Braden Nienaber a 2-game. Jordan Grill a 2-game. Kobe Sawyer a 6-game. Michael Carter a 3-game, and even the head coach assessed a fine in Marty Smith.
He fought too?
Just a fine. But, wild.
Yeah. Good for them. And guess, as I said, I watched some of this game. Perlingers in the mix, mixing up. They're not on that list.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
They find a way never to get in trouble. They're never in trouble.
And
they're like that kid that's the bully or picking on you, but the teachers never give him detention.
Yeah, he always
it's
gets
wild.
out of the way.
Yeah. Good for them though.
He always gets in there first,
it's a
but he always
compliment.
gets out of there when unharmed. And I just wanted to add, because of Fridays, I'll call it the dust up. These two teams are now the top 2 penalized teams in penalty minutes in the league.
Well, 300 PIMs in one game combined.
So
I do want to touch on Melville.
Them, I guess.
I do want to touch on Melville,
Melville
because it's a complete opposite situation in terms of discipline anyways. The Melville Millionaires just don't take penalties. They also don't get power plays. They have the lowest power plays per game for any team in the month, and they play hard. So kudos to them for kind of walking that line. But you talk about, when I talk about winning games, I always wonder, you throw a puck into 2 guys on one team, 2 on the other, who's going to pull it out? And the Melville Millionaires, folks, have won around 55% of their puck battles in February every time they dig it free. So, I give the Melville Millionaires all the credit in the world for buying in. They've clearly bonded together. 9-game win streak. I don't think there's any superlative that we can say that's too big for them right now. They're just finding a way to win pretty or win ugly, and they keep doing it, and they're going to be scary come playoff time.
Yeah.
Finding a way to win. And it's so impressive, right? Because the 9-game win streak, and those three teams, Melville, Battleford, and Humboldt, they're going to be glued to each other down to the stretch. Like, you're not going to know who's going to finish 5th, 6th, or 7th until the very end. Last weekend of the season will decide that. But Melville, are they still getting overlooked? Is that why? Because, two great goaltenders, Boston Harkness, Matt Chemis, great defensemen, right? Maybe not the flashiest of forwards anymore after losing their top 2 scorers, but the way they're able to cohesively play together as a unit, they win pretty, they win ugly, they score goals now when we used to think of them as a defensive structured team, but they're not giving up the defensive structure of their team in order to get those goals.
Yeah.
I feel like they still might be overlooked, which makes them as dangerous as any. And we asked the question 3 weeks ago, maybe 2, in Buy It or Sell It. Was Humboldt the team that the top 4 teams are hoping to avoid? Is that team now Melville? Has Melville moved maybe ahead of Humboldt in that regard?
So 2 points to that. One is, I think there's no question that just because of the consistency piece, when Humboldt plays Humboldt hockey, green and gold hockey, you guys call it all the time. The players call it all the time, not you. The players say all the time, green and gold hockey. We got to play green and gold hockey. And fair enough. And when they do that, they can beat anybody. It's just the consistency that when the Melville has done it. Humboldt hasn't shown that. But the second thing is, why can't Melville get home ice advantage in the first round? They're only 5 points behind Weyburn. What is it Weyburn has 1 game in hand.
12 possible points.
But that's still, I think there's still plenty of opportunity. Melville just keeps winning and running the table. Why not? And then you have to go into a packed CN Community Center. Again, you're like 5 to whatever. I'm like, why not Melville?
So the highest Melville can get to is 71 points on the season if they win 7 more games straight.
Right.
They sweep the rest of the year. They'll end up at 71. 9 points Weyburn needs to get to, mathematically avoid.
Well, Melville's given themselves a chance because they just don't lose.
100%, man. Yeah,
So,
5 points back.
yeah.
We see Larange was 9 points back of Kindersley. Now it's 4. That's 5 points.
Well,
right?
and we look at, and we get the strength of schedule. We look at Larange's strength of schedule, but what did they do? They beat Yorkton and Yorkton. So whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, right? Before we move on to the next topic, somebody else was error-free,
They were.
Rory, and I want you to touch on this because I think they deserve a lot of kudos.
Well, 100% they do. The Nipawin Hawks were error-free. And they're 7-4-0-1 in their last 11 games. Like, this is a top-of-the-division record, right?
Yeah.
For the Nipawin Hawks, what they've been doing since the whole month of February. You have to go back to beating Flin Flon, or Melfort it was, in late January. But throughout that stretch, they've beaten Flin Flon, they've beaten Melfort, they've beaten Weyburn. They're outscoring their opponents 39-29 in now a 12-game sample size. It sucks that it's too little too late, right? But, they're just playing some spoiler games. They're playing some solid hockey down the stretch. You just saw them recently. Coming up is Larange, Kindo, Humboldt, Melville. In 4 out of their remaining 6 games. There's 2 more against, I believe it's Flin Flon, which will wrap it up, which doesn't really hurt for spoilers. But those 4 games, all 4 of those teams are wanting points. They're wanting to jockey. And Nipawin can just play spoiler the rest of the way. I love the way they're wrapping up the season for a team that was in last place the whole year.
Yeah, clearly relishing it. They played 3-3. They went to the third period in Wilcox, big ice, no atmosphere. They could have just said, oh, well, we're going to lose 1 and get 2 of the 3 wins. What did they do? They came out like a house on fire in the third period and once again scored 5 goals in the third period on Notre Dame like they did last Sunday, by the way. So, look, the Nipawin Hawks give their leadership a lot of credit. They love the spoiler role. They're plucky. And you talk about a team, we've talked about them all year. They've got this core of young players. And guess what? It's not just for next year. They've seasoned and developed as the year's gone on as well. And so obviously, again, you give them credit that they found a way to win another hockey game yesterday. They found a way to win, big scoring goal games over the weekend. They found a way to put pucks in. It really, if they can keep it together, they really look like they could be good for next year.
Yeah, and one thing I just want to mention is I don't think that it's out of the question that they could move up the standings still throughout the rest of the season. Now, obviously, they're eliminated from the playoffs mathematically. They cannot get higher than 46 points right now, but that is technically ahead of Larange if Larange didn't win any more games, which is probably not likely.
And Warman can celebrate the first overall pick.
Warman, hey.
Welcome to the league. Here's the first overall pick.
Love that. But it would be interesting to see Nipawin continue to push up the standings because, boy, are they playing good right now. Let's move on. Our final titled headline, we'll call it. Well, there is two more, but there is two more. Sorry, I got mixed.
We're taking our time here.
Taking our time. It's because we added
as
that
usual
extra one. Photo finish. And I'm going to go with you on this one because this is about Melfort and Humboldt's series over the weekend. 2 4-3 games, one in a shootout. Boy, was it tight. Can you tell us about how that went down?
I will be very quick. I know we're getting tight on time. Aren't we?
Well,
we're trying to not have hour and 45-minute shows every week.
What?
Okay, it was a display of the will to win, shaking hands with a war of attrition. It was an amazing weekend of hockey. Both lineups were absolutely decimated with injuries, so much that you had multiple APs in both games. You had defensemen playing forward for both teams in both games. Even stringing together, putting out a lineup card was hard for Trevor Blevins and Braden Klamosko. But just the effort level from the Melfort Mustangs and the Humboldt Broncos, two teams that only play each other 4 times in a year, but every time they play each other, it's an absolute rocking building and playoff-like atmosphere. Both games had a game-tying goal with the goalie pulled. Melfort did it in game 1, tying the game up 3-3. Broncos won it in a shootout. Humboldt did it right there. That's actually the power play goal. No, that is the one that make it 3-3. And then Melfort comes back after Humboldt ties it with 25 seconds, and you'll see it here. A shot from the point actually ricochets off a couple things and then off of Oakley McIlwain and in the back of the net with 4.8 seconds left. A heartbreaking way for Humboldt to lose, and I know it's extremely frustrating for them, but the thing is that it shouldn't be. It shouldn't advertise the entire weekend of a game that got away with 4.8 seconds left because how well both teams played and how much they just dug deep. Riley Cote played 28 minutes in the first game. He's a forward. Oakley McIlwain and Trey Fouquet played upwards of 35 minutes in the first game for that pairing. It was just, what do you got left in the tank and leave it out there. And I was so impressed by both sides. The only knock that I will say on Humboldt is that the power play put them in a position in game 2 that it didn't need to be. And if they want to go have an upset in the first round of the playoffs, which they're going to have to because they're going to be a lower seed, they got to figure out their power play. They were 1 for 8 and had 2 5-on-3 opportunities in that game and did not score.
Yeah.
And even Carter Hansen and Braden Klamosko said after the game, the saying goes, if you get a 5-on-3 and you don't score, you're losing that game.
Yeah,
you need to be able to capitalize. And they didn't.
Huge.
They didn't on the power play. Yeah. And the ending shouldn't take away from what was, just heart and soul effort from the Mustangs and the Broncos. Yeah. Awesome weekend of hockey.
You have Blevins, you have Klamosko, you have last year's playoffs. You got could we get a playoff series between these two somewhere? Love it. We'd love it.
That would be fantastic. It might have to come in the second round though.
Playoffs.
Playoffs. Thank you, Bryce. Let's move on. I think we're ready to move on to the Weyburn Woes. The Weyburn Woe Wings. That's our final headline, titled headline, I should say. We have one more after that, but the Weyburn Woes. They are 5-5 in their last 10 games after, were they probably the best team over a good stretch of time just prior to this last 10 games. Nugsy, I'll go with you on this one. What can you tell me about Weyburn's last little stretch here?
Yeah, they're still generating lots of chances. They're still winning and getting in a lot of puck battles. There doesn't seem like there's anything wrong with the culture in Weyburn from what I can see, at least from the outside. They're just not putting their pucks in. So I'll try to explain this stat for you guys here, or for people out there as well. They are getting a lot of chances, but they have really low XG conversion rate.
Sure.
The second or third lowest in the league in 2025. What does that mean? That means they're one of the worst teams in the league when they do generate a great scoring chance, putting it home. Now you look at all these guys that they have. They've got a lot of playmakers, a lot of passers. Somebody needs to be a little more selfish and shoot it. Now, who was selfish and shot it this week? It was Liam Fitzgerald. He was putting in pucks when maybe not everybody else was, but they've got a lot of guys that can make things happen. They just need to put it in. And I think again, when you lose a guy like Cypress Smith-Davis, obviously that does put a lot on Jackson Ruthven to be the one to bang pucks in. Obviously, Maharaj and DK create a lot, but they don't put that many pucks in the net themselves. They create for their teammates. Chakrabarty, what does he do? Creates for his teammates. And that's great. They're great at it. But, when the time comes, when the games get tighter, and obviously this game wasn't exactly tight, 7-5 with Nipawin winning. But you know what? This Neugebauer team still has lots of weapons. They got to figure it out. But the answer is, I don't know what's wrong with the Red Wings. They're just not putting pucks in right now.
And it could be the grind of a long season of being good all year and just wanting to get to the playoffs, that it just has a little bit of a lack of attention to detail. And when you lack detail in your game, you often miss that, expected goal conversion. You can miss that opportunity or let up 7 goals against the Nipawin Hawks, right? But I don't know. It's worrisome. It's worrisome to have a pre-postseason slump. Like in the last 10 games leading to the postseason, you want to be ramping up your game. You want to be succeeding. You want to be playing the right way because you don't get opportunity and time to have bad off nights in the playoffs. So if they're getting them out of the way now and then they're going to ramp it up in the last 5, great. But to have a little slump and needing to figure out what's wrong going into the playoffs is worrisome. And just 2 stats that jumped out to me is Angelo Zoll in the month of February has an .881 save percentage. He's playing a lot of games, but that's not up to his normal standard. His normal standard is .915 to .920. It's .881, subpar. Special teams, 17% in the month of February for power play, subpar to what they've usually been. And their penalty kill, 74% in the month of February. All 3 things can be attention to detail. It can be just, I'm just worried about them trying to figure things out heading into the playoffs.
It's more hockey than Angelo Zoll's ever played because what did he have before February, before the trade deadline? He had Daza Mitchell sitting there, not doing nothing, obviously playing too, and pushing him in practice and whatnot, with no disrespect to Ty Matanovich and Preston Patnod. But it's not the same caliber of goaltender as Daza Mitchell sitting there and, taking some of that rep, some of that situation off you. I'm not saying Angelo Zoll's going to fall apart in the playoff, anything like that. I'm just saying it's a new world for him. And so, taking some time to adjust to that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I think they'll figure it out.
Yeah,
I think they
we'll
have
see.
a good. They have a good
They
shot.
played really well on Monday at the Family Day game.
Yeah.
They thumped. They were all over Estevan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now we do have 5-6 games left for most of these teams, and with that in mind, we've hinted at it a few times. The strength of schedule for these teams going down the stretch. And Nugsy, maybe I'll go with you on this one because I know this was kind of your baby. So I'll go with you. Can you talk to us about what this means for these teams down the road?
Yeah, let's put up the graphic, the strength of schedule. There you go. So what this means is there's games remaining, is that you see it there, and that's not accurate because it's not all 8 games remaining. So the graphic isn't fully accurate there. There's some 8s, there's some 7s, there's some 6s in there. But I think the percentages are right.
All there.
So what the percentages mean is that it's the combined average win percentage of the teams that they're playing against the rest of the year. So the higher this percentage, the harder the road. The lower, theoretically, the easier, though, as we know in the SJHL, it doesn't necessarily compute. And you look at the Ronge Ice Wolves, for them to try to make the playoffs, they've got 2 against Melfort, 2 against Flin Flon out of those, 7 or something like that.
They have 7.
So 4 of the 7 are against Flin Flon and Melfort. Will Flin Flon and Melfort be resting guys if they know their spot already? Who knows what that means as well. And then, again, Ronge, to the flip side, go into, a Yorkton and go into somewhere else and win games. So, again, what does it mean? Who knows? Also, Kindersley's on the road, all but 1 game left of the year out of their, what is it, 7
they
games?
They have 7 as well, yeah.
So, what does it mean? It's an interesting picture to some degree. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I love looking at strength of schedules down the stretch, but then you have to, it can't be the only thing you're looking at. Kindersley, yes, the easiest strength of schedule, but they have 2 home games left. Right, like one home game.
Can you put
the
graphic back up again?
So,
just quickly?
Is that actually the easiest strength of schedule? It is the lowest win percentage of opponents they'll go up against, but now 6 of 7 of those are on the road, which makes it increasingly harder to win.
Yeah.
Right. Melville has 58%, Humboldt has 51%, but they play each other 1 time. So, what does that 1 game do out if you take it out?
Yeah.
Right. So it's different. Obviously, you mentioned Larange having the hardest, but in the final games against Flin Flon, are they going to be resting the guys? In which case, you're not playing the full Flin Flon team. Is that now easier? So it's really, I love the stat. I love it, and it's fun to look at. But I do believe that, all these teams do not care. They're like, let's go take this next game.
Yeah. Well, and Jardine did say, the Kindersley coach, in a quote that they put on Kindersley social media, which is terrific, obviously. Connor Tate, you should go follow Clippers hockey right now if you aren't already. And Clayton Jardine did say, hey, we're going to be a lower seed. We're going to be on the road anyways in the playoffs, so we might as well get used to it and thrive in it. So I love that attitude.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Clayton's been standing by that for a while, because I know on the last time we had him on one of our broadcasts, he said the exact same thing.
Right.
I can't remember if it was Insider, because I feel like I was sitting over at the other desk, but I'm pretty sure he said.
It was Insider. We haven't had Clayton here.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm pretty sure he said that exact same thing. You know, we're going to need to get ready to play on the road in the playoffs, so this is just preparation for that.
Oh, it's fixed.
So.
There we go.
Hey, look at that.
Magic.
Now, all the games remaining are correct for those who are paying attention and watching. So there you go. But anyways, that is the strength of schedule. Let's have a look at the league standings now to kind of get a grip on everything that we just talked about and kind of wrap it all up. So we'll go with the league standings. The league standings. There we go. It's coming. It's coming. There we are. The Melfort Mustangs have, of course, the top 4 teams have all locked up their spots. But as you can see, the one storyline with those top 4 teams is maybe the team that's right behind them, the Melville Millionaires, what we kind of hinted at earlier. Could they potentially push into that mix of the 3-4 spot? That would be a whole lot of fun. The Battlefords North Stars, Humboldt Broncos right there with Melville, 55 and 54 points respectively. Kindersley, they've kind of let a few opportunities slip away. They're still sitting at 48 points, with Larange just now 4 points behind them, as we mentioned earlier. So that race, and these two teams played against each other this weekend, so holy cow, get your tickets now. They're going to be going fast. And then Estevan, Nipawin, and Notre Dame wrap up the bottom 3 teams there. Anything stand out with the standings, guys, that you want to just touch on before we move on?
Melville's 1 point away from clinching a playoff spot.
Yeah.
Either way, a victory or a Larange loss will actually make Melville clinch a playoff spot. The number right now is 58 points if you hold a tiebreaker. So Battleford's Humboldt not far away. Obviously, if Larange fails to pick up victories, then that number falls lower. But
there you go. Let's have a quick look at the divisional standings just to get those sponsors in here, because we love them. The Viterra division, as you can see, Yorkton's barely holding on to the lead, but Weyburn does have 2 games in hand over there. Melville sneaking in there as well. In the Sherwood division, it's still a 2-horse race. The Melfort, well, 1 horse, but 1 horse, 1 bomber.
1 airplane.
Yeah, the Melfort Mustang, exactly. The Melfort Mustangs with 81 points. They still continue to win. 8-1, 0-1 in their last 10 games. The Flin Flon Bombers, 7-2-1 in their past 10 at 72 points. And in the Nutrien division, it is very tight with those 3 teams, of course, as they're all kind of bundled up in the standings together. Battlefords, though, has regained the division lead, because I believe last time we did the show, Humboldt had the division lead. So Battlefords has snuck back in there. So there you go. There's the look at the standings as we kind of wrap up the recap portion of the show. Let's have a look at the highlight of the week. This one came a pretty little tic-tac-toe from the Estevan Bruins. Let's have a look.
Is ready. Puck taken on by Jack Drake. Played right into the middle. Scooped up here by Ringer. He's in. It'll make a pass down to the back door. What a play there. Ringer to Rennie to Starenka. And what a goal.
There you go. It was a pretty little tic-tac-toe, and that was he not only did Rennie receive the pass kind of on his backhand, but it was also behind the back, receiving the pass, behind the back, between the legs, pass across the crease to Steven Starenka for the goal. So nice little play there. And if you do see any highlights, we mention it every week, but let us know. If you see any plays like that or anything better, big hits, big goals, big saves, let us know on Twitter or anywhere on social media. Hit us up. Any 3 of us, and we'll get those on highlight of the week each and every week on this broadcast. And big shout out to Chevrolet for all of the highlight packages you saw throughout the recap portion. Now it's time for everybody's favorite portion, well, Nugsie's favorite portion of the first segment. Nugs and Notes.
you always go the opposite.
I know. I'll never figure it out. I refuse to figure it out. It's part of my spiel.
It's part of the shtick.
Part of the shtick. Yeah, just real quick. Again, I said it again. That's funny. Anyways,
Real
Kyler Smith, captain of the Kindersley Clippers, has committed to Dalhousie University. Same with Seth Dragon, of course. I've announced that already. We're going to there in Nova Scotia. The AUS is a great league, so I'm really happy for Kyler Smith. Can take on Kean Bell out there, who's of course at Acadia, etc. And Ripley Garden, the Notre Dame Hounds defenseman, committed to the University of Utah, the Utes, which obviously great legacy in football and basketball to some degree, but especially football. But he's going to go out there, and he's a Minnesota kid, and he loves the outdoors, and I think there's a lot of things he can do out there. So Rip is happy with that, and Liverpool beat Manchester City on Sunday and are 11 points ahead atop the Premier League table in England in soccer, and I'm a big fan of that. So I know that's not really relevant probably to most people out there, but it's big news for me. So I'm very happy about it. And spring training is back, and I'm sure Clark is very happy with that
That's
too.
what we
So
should
there
be
you
talking
go.
about,
Yeah,
spring
Neugs,
training.
Neugs and notes. Very excited.
Yeah, Bryce likes it too.
go.
Yeah, we'll do a spring training report in segment 3 of the show today. How about that?
Nice.
We're going to hit a break. When we come back from that break, we're going to be joined by star forward of the Ronge Ice Wolves, Cole Thomas. See you on the other side.
Your new truck trade-up has arrived at Capital GMC. Volume pricing is back. As inventory levels go up, prices come way down. And right now, we have over 250 brand new GMC Sierras to choose from. Lease a Crew Cab 4x4 Pro Edition for only $269 bi-weekly plus tax with $0 down. Or work with our finance experts to get the best available rates. Plus, GM certified pre-owned inventory is back too. Shop over 150 vehicles, all makes, all models. It's finally time for your new truck trade-up, only at Capital GMC.
Each year, the SCSA issues over 10,000 training certificates to the construction professionals who build our province. That's the population of Martinsville. Learn more at scsaonline.ca.
Saskatchewan's far north is where the land itself inspires. It's the beauty and power of wilderness, the solitude of a place far removed from what you might know. When this landscape surrounds you, it's like nothing else. Come and let it awaken you, energize you. Come and create your story in our Northern Lights and Waterways. Saskatchewan.
In a year where Amazon sold its first book, Alanis topped the charts, and the Frappuccino became cool, we were there. Trusted by the Saskatchewan construction industry since 1995. Learn more at scsaonline.ca.
As a student, things can pile up fast. Ouch. But the RBC Student Banking Bundle makes back to school easier with up to $275 in value. That's a whole pile of takeout.
Introducing SaskTel Student Saving Tips. Tip number 138. You could build your own pallet furniture. So you're living on your own. You gotta save money by building furniture with pallets. Or get Infinite 150 for only $50 a month with SaskTel Student Deals.
Increase your home comfort with high-efficiency natural gas equipment. Sask Energy offers rebates so you can lower your energy use and save money. For a list of rebates, contact a participating network member or visit saskenergy.com.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
All right, welcome back inside SJHL Weekly. Myself, Rory McGouran, Jamie Neugebauer, and we're being joined now on the video chat by our good friend Cole Thomas of the Ronge Ice Wolves. And Cole, breaking news, what the heck?
Can we get a siren or something?
Well, yeah,
please?
we literally just looked on Facebook.
There we go.
And we see that Cole Thomas has made a NCAA commitment. Can you tell us about what's going on there?
Yeah, I'm just seeing it too.
Did you know?
Yeah. No, I knew. Just talked to the coaches today and put it together. I've kind of had it. I've accepted and committed in the last couple of weeks, but it's just getting announced now.
Perfect. Can you tell us about where it is and everything that went along with that process?
Yeah, the school, Middlebury College, is in Vermont, and we kind of built a relationship just through personal outreach, and started talking to the coach over the last couple of months, and I was doing well, and he liked me, I guess, and kind of put it together.
Well, perfect. That's great news. And I was going to open up with a bunch of other stuff about the home stretch for you guys and the season so far, but that's great news to start it off. So congrats, Cole. We love to hear it.
Thank you.
Let's move on now, though, to this last little while. Obviously, you guys are kind of been in playoff mode now for a little while, and I know Rory has some hard-hitting questions about that, so I'll try to keep this one surface level here.
I do?
Yeah, well, you wanted to talk about the attitude around the team just with the last little while, but can you just talk about this last week? Obviously, 4 games in 5 days is never easy, but you guys came out with a decent amount of points. Can you talk about the last stretch of games?
Yeah, it was a long week. I was suspended for our first game, so I had a shorter week than my teammates, but it was long, and we've been battling some injuries, as a lot of other teams are, and lost Ryland Silzer in our first game of the road trip. And then Hudson Cameron, our other top goal scorer, in our third game against Melville. So it's been there's been a lot of weight for guys to pick up, but like you guys said, it's getting down to the end of the year, and we're fighting for our playoff spot. So there's a lot of urgency, and it's a lot of fun, a lot of energy in the games, but just got to win some games.
Now, Cole, thank you for joining us. Some people find this notion of most improved player as a sort of backhanded compliment, and I don't mean that even a little bit. Like, been a fan of yours for a while. You do have over double the points from last year. So I got to ask you, do you see yourself as, having some sort of switch that's been flicked this year, a most improved kind of player type of an attitude, or do you just feel like it's been kind of the steady development into the player that you are now, a D3 commit?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I know I have improved a lot since I came to Larange 3 years ago, and double from last year. In my first season, I only had 6 assists and I didn't score a goal. So I started low on the totem pole, but I've worked really hard, and I've made the most of my opportunities, and I credit that to opportunity from the coaches. And Larange has a lot of resources. It's up for the player, for their taking, if they want to put the work in and if they want to improve. And I think I've just tried to make the most of that in my time here.
Hey, Cole, throughout this journey that you guys are going to now, in increasing the playoff hopes, you're down by 4 points. You still got 2 games against Kindersley. But even us on the show, week in, week out, we're trying to create narratives. Is it out of Lareach? Now that they're roaring back. Has there ever been a time when you're looking at the standings and you see 9 points back, right? You see teams moving up, that it is difficult to generate confidence, when you see it falling farther away rather than getting closer together?
Yeah, I think kind of looking at last year kind of helps give some perspective, because we've gone through a losing season, and we've faced that adversity. And we've also faced adversity all year, but it's never been out of reach, especially now only being 4 points back. But there was never any narrative in our locker room that we were out of it. We credit that to the leadership group, and the younger guys. We've all kind of come together more and more, and kind of reaching the climax of the season. We're playing our best hockey, and this weekend coming up against Kindersley is, everybody knows there's a lot on the line. Trades between the teams. There's some personal stuff kind of there. So it's a big weekend, and we're right there, but we're fighting.
Certainly are.
There you go. Gotta love that juice. Bring on all the juice, Cole. Now, look, one of the things that was really happy to hear about this week was when I asked your assistant coach Kyle Schneider, who's a friend of the show. He said, when I asked about you coming on, he said that you're also a friend of the show and watch us and stuff. And so we really appreciate that. I know your dad has also reached out a few times and said some kind things about all of us. So thank you so much for that. But one of the things that people who watch the show would know is I love my face-off guys. I love guys that snap that puck back on a very regular basis. Now, are you the best face-off guy in the SJHL? and also, just talk about how much you work at that and sort of what's your philosophy around it.
Yeah, I won't say that I'm the best, but I take pride in that role. Face-offs, you get to start every play, and they collect and they have a big difference on the game. So I like that opportunity. I like the kind of importance that's there, and so does Killer. So that voice has been in my head since I've been here for 3 years. Just getting better every year. Just try to dominate in the face-off circle. So that's a big piece that we focus on every week in practice and hope to excel at in the games.
Hey, Cole, you talked about the trade briefly there, and obviously you guys are going to reunite and whatever rivalries with Kindersley this weekend. But how have the new guys been acclimating to Larange? Alex Mack comes in, Dayton Tailfeather's another piece that comes in. When you trade a big piece out to Kindersley, you get two in return, and just how has that been, that process to get those bodies in and playing Ronge Ice Wolves hockey?
Yeah, obviously those trades towards the deadline are tough for those guys coming in to kind of an already established group. But Tails and Macker have been great. Tails is out right now with a shoulder injury, but Macker, he was a big part of our win against Yorkton on Saturday. And even a couple of players at the deadline as well. They've come in and they've done well. And those guys definitely feel they've got the most motivation against Kindersley. So I'm happy that we've got the bodies. We're going to be bringing it for sure.
I might not even
including Logan Falk.
I might not even call my game with the Broncos in Yorkton. I just might watch Larange versus Kindersley this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be a
find someone to fill in.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, you mentioned there, obviously Logan Falk, Mason Buchert, kind of on the other side, guys that and whatever. Do you know where to shoot on Falk? Or are you going to tell your teammates? Juicy.
No, he. I know he likes to bait the windmill a little bit, but
there you go.
He's pretty versatile. He shuts me down in practice.
For sure. But serious question. Sorry, Rory touched on it. The fact that every game is so meaningful. Is it kind of getting? Is it a fatiguing thing? Is it an energizing thing that every game for Larange kind of feels like a playoff game? Because if you don't win it, then maybe some of those siren bells are going off. So how have you kind of approached that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of excitement for every game. And it's not great that we're in the position we are, but I mean, we're making the most of it. And at the same time, as a 20-year-old and our other 20-year-olds, it's a hard reality that if we don't make playoffs, this is our last handful of games. So it's kind of stressful. There's a lot of energy, but it's the games are exciting and guys are having fun. So that's the best part. But we need to win the games.
Yeah, one thing I always like to ask guys who play in Larange is just, now you've been there for 3 years, playing for a coach like Killer Kaminsky. I mean, his nickname is Killer. So what is that like? You've been there now again for 3 seasons. Did you know anything about him when you got recruited to go to Larange in the first place? And what was that process like, getting to know a guy named Killer? Because he is one of the better personalities around the league. I love talking to him. What was that like for you?
Yeah, kind of initially you get an idea of who he is and his career, all of his accomplishments. And and kind of the role he played in his career. So it's a little intimidating at first, but that goes away quickly, and he does a really good job of kind of maintaining a relationship with a player and coach, and he's helped me so much over my time here, and he's a great coach. I've loved playing for him. I wouldn't want to play for anybody else. And Schneids too. They have a great dynamic between the two of them. And his intimidating persona is kind of good because he can get through to his players, and his players respect him. And I've never seen players respect their coach like our guys respect Killer and listen to him. And he knows how to make guys work, and that's been the most beneficial thing for me since I've been here.
Really appreciate it, Cole. You've been awesome. We just got one more thing to take care of. If you are a friend of the show, you know what's coming up. And it's time for Rory's Rapid Fire. Some quick, hard-hitting questions. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. I want to say, first of all, congratulations about the commitments that came out right when the show started, apparently. And it was weird because my first question in Rapid Fire was kind of, what is your dream career after hockey? So maybe we can double with it. As in, do you know what you're going to take when you go to school? And is that leading towards what you want to become, in your career moving forward?
Looking through the majors and minors at Middlebury, I picked economics as my major because I know I want to go in some field of business and entrepreneurship. So that way, not necessarily a specific field yet or industry, but.
Gotcha. I mean, it's never anything bad about having a business degree in your back pocket. Usually is an amazing place to be. You talked about centerman with Nugsy. Who is the hardest centerman elsewhere in the league to win a draw against?
Marko Djordjevic was a really strong centerman.
I love that one.
Yeah. Keith Gruner. And I think of some guys we played recently. Those are two that come to mind right away.
That's all you need, yeah.
I think both among the tops of the face-off percentage leaders in the league, too. So
yeah, I mean, Marco's dead to me, so.
I'm
kidding. I'm kidding.
The weather's getting nicer outside. Who would be the best Ronge Ice Wolves teammate to host the backyard barbecue? The first one in the spring. He'd just have everything ready. He'd have the burgers, people that want burgers, the dogs, people that want dogs, the lawn games, the good music. Who'd be that guy that's just prepared to host the barbecue?
Probably Jay Cassette, the local boy. And he's done it before, and he's put on a good time for the boys. So.
Your head coach, Kevin Kaminsky, has played for 3 different NHL teams. It's a bit of a trick question. Can you name them?
The Capitals.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm not good at my statistics.
Dude, the next 2 are near
Capitals
impossible.
is a big one.
Yeah, these guys didn't even know the other 2. So you got the Capitals. 133 games for Washington, and then the other 2 teams aren't even in the league anymore. 6 games for the Quebec Nordiques and 1 game for the Minnesota North Stars.
I was going to say Minnesota, right?
Yeah, very, very difficult question. Final one for me here. Obviously, obviously the Mel is known for some wild bounces, right? Some crazy things can happen in the Mel where you've now played a number of years. Maybe an estimate of how many things you've seen there that it's almost like, what just happened? Like, how is that even possible? Can you count on one hand, or is it too many to even count?
Yeah, well, the lively and wall, as Malls used to say. There's some crazy bounces off the boards. Some gate issues. We had to stop a game because the away team's gate fell apart. The Zamboni door coming open 2 years ago when we were in playoffs, and they were drilling the pegs and they hit the water pipe, and we had to move over to the JR. Right. That was crazy.
That's a wild one.
Yeah. A few other things hit the light. The glass comes down onto the ice.
Oh That's a lengthy cleanup. I just got one more because you are a graduating player. You are going on to post-secondary hockey. Do you have a favorite goal moment or just a goal that you look back still to this day? You're like, yeah, that one tops. That's one of my favorite ones.
Probably my hat trick goal in Humboldt this season. That was a big one. That was the game. It was a close game, and that might have been to seal it or get us closer to that. And I had never scored a hat trick and haven't scored many goals in the past anyway, so that was pretty cool.
I hope my call on Flow Hockey was enough. It was good enough for you to keep it. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I hope it was sufficient enough for your archives. I appreciate it.
Good.
I appreciate it, Cole. Thank you.
There you go. Cole, thanks so much for joining us today. Congrats again on the commitment, and best of luck down the stretch. We're going to be all watching because I think out of all the teams, all the headlines, I think Ronge is one we're keeping a close eye on. So good luck the rest of the way, Cole.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, there you go. Cole Thomas of the Ronge Ice Wolves. We're going to take a quick break. On the way, before we get to the break, we're going to throw now to a special video. We've been playing you guys the Saskatchewan Cattlemen's Association Rink Burger Contest. We're going to play you Yorkton's submission now as we head into commercial break. We'll see you after the commercial break.
All right, SJHL fans, we're back for another SCA Cattlemen's Association game night. This time we're in Yorkton. I'm joined by Levi, and as a reminder, SCA Sask locally sourced beef is the official protein source of the SJHL. Now, Levi, tell me about the farm you're running just outside of Yorkton here.
Yeah, we're from Willowbrook actually, and 21 miles straight west of Yorkton. Yeah, we run a cow-calf operation and a backgrounding feedlot. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah. And the Saskatchewan beef, locally sourced beef, is the official protein provider of the SJHL and the official pregame meal of all of our SJHL athletes. You know, tell me about some of the health benefits of locally sourced beef.
I think, you know, dollar for dollar, pound for pound, beef is the best source of protein that you can possibly get. And, you know, whether it's protein, all the nutritional value, the vitamin B12, energy, that's a big one for guys on the ice.
You bet.
Zinc and iron. And I mean, that's building muscle, that's building hockey players, and we're doing it one burger at a time.
Awesome. Well, you know what? We're about half hour, 45 minutes from puck drop, so this is our pregame meal as well. But we're going to go down, we're all going to take a bite of the rink burger here in Yorkton. We'll give it a score out of 10 and see how it stacks up against the rest of the league here.
Perfect.
Sounds good?
You bet.
Let's dig in, boys. Really good rink burger. Really good rink burger.
Really good. Juicy. Good bun. Bacon.
Could have used some napkins with it.
Yeah, that's good.
Now, Kyle, we'll start down there with the commissioner. What do you give this out of 10?
Well, you know what, Jacob? This is a pretty tasty burger. It's really thick. It's really juicy. I would score it an 8.4.
8.4. Levi, what do you think?
I'm gonna give it a 9.
You hit a 9?
Yeah.
Right on. Well, you know what? Fantastic burger. I actually usually don't get tomatoes on my burger, but it's that good, I don't mind it. I'm gonna give it an 8.8. 8.8 for me. So solid scores all around here in Yorkton. Levi, thanks for coming out. Much appreciated. And locally sourced beef, the official protein of the SJHL. We'll see you next episode. That's it.
Perfect.
The Chevrolet Silverado 1500. Advanced power and capability to tackle the long hauls. Style to make a statement on the streets. Visit ChevroletOffers.ca to learn more.
Each year, the SCSA issues over 10,000 training certificates to the construction professionals who build our province. That is the same population as Weyburn. Learn more at scsaonline.ca.
When you buy a lottery ticket in Saskatchewan, your money really goes a long way. More than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups receive funding from Sask Lotteries every year. Everyone wins.
My name is Kyle McIntyre, and I'm the commissioner of the SJHL. We have 12 teams spread out all over this amazing province. 12 teams that hit the road for a combined 324 season games. We take hockey players, and we make them better. We make them better at hockey and better at life. That's what the SJHL is all about. We have a great league, we have great teams, great ownership, the best fans, the best partners, and the best sponsors.
Sask Energy Network members are the best choice for natural gas solutions for your home or business. With comprehensive services like heating equipment maintenance, appliance installation, and in-store financing, they have natural gas solutions that go beyond heating to bring you the comfort, efficiency, and reliability of natural gas, both indoors and outdoors, all year long. For whole home natural gas solutions, network members burn brighter.
Introducing SaskTel Student Saving Tips. Tip number 236. You could dye your own hair. Or you could save up to $20 a month on a new wireless plan with SaskTel Student Deals.
Enjoying what's around you. That's what it's all about. Farm to table, in season, locally foraged, look out the window and that's exactly what you'll see on your plate. It's the kind of experience that you'll compare everything else to for years to come. And it's so close, you can almost taste it. Indulge in our unlimited lakes and parkland. Saskatchewan.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Quick little segment here to wrap up the show. Thanks again to Cole Thomas for joining us minutes after his commitment was announced by the Ronge Ice Wolves, so thanks for that. Great chat there. Let's have a look now, though, at the players of the week. 6 great performances this week. So let's have a look at it now. We'll start with the SGEU MVP of the week, and we talked a lot about the Nipawin Hawks this week, guys. 19 goals. This guy had a big part of it. Mason Karkachuk of the Nipawin Hawks is your MVP of the week. He has points in 5 of his last 6 games. 3 goals, 5 assists this week for a big-time performance out of the Nipawin Hawks. Moving on to the Borgo forward of the week, we'll go down the road to, well, he played against this team, the Liam Fitzgerald of the Weyburn Red Wings. 8 points in his last 8 games. So he's on fire right now, and he's, as Nugsy said in the article on the website, which you can check out now on sjhl.ca, he's fit in really nicely with Jerome Maharaj on that line for the Weyburn Red Wings. 6 points in 2 games for Liam. The Super U Defenseman of the Week, Nathan Da Silva of the Ronge Ice Wolves. We just talked to his teammate Cole Thomas. Nathan Da Silva obviously playing a big role with an injury to Ryland Silzer. And this week in 4 games, he had 5 points, and he had points in each of the 4 games. So big performance there by Nathan Da Silva. The SaskTel goalie of the week, Justin Merrick of the Battlefords North Stars, back-to-back wins over the Kindersley Clippers. A huge moment for those wins, obviously with all the playoff battling going on in the standings right now. So 2 big wins for Justin Merrick. He's the goalie of the week for SaskTel. The IKS Media rookie of the week. We'll go back to the Nipawin Hawks. It's Connor Watson. 3 games played, 8 points. And he has 11 points in his last 6 games. So he is coming on strong as the Nipawin Hawks continue to play spoilers at the end of the season here. And finally, his teammate is the Cantera Seeds Saskatchewan Player of the Week. It's Finley Radloff. He's been hot. He got 5 goals this week, and he has 3 straight multi-point games this week. So big performance there by Finley Radloff. Guys, let's look ahead at the schedule coming up this weekend. There's some big games coming up. So let's have a look first off Wednesday's games, I should say. The Weyburn Red Wings visit the Humboldt Broncos, and as Rory said, he might not even watch it, and he might not even broadcast it.
That's not this one.
It's not this
No,
one.
that's the weekend.
It's not this one. Oh, yeah. Anyways, he might not watch this one either. I don't know.
This one, I'll be there for that.
You'll
one.
probably watch
Yeah,
that
I'll be
one.
there for
Yeah,
that.
that's a big game. That is a big game.
That's funny.
The Ronge Ice Wolves are also in Nipawin to take on the Hawks. Do we have the rest of the week as well, guys? We might as well throw it up. Thursdays, got the Estevan Bruins visiting the Duncan McNeil for one of the final games of the regular season for the Notre Dame Hounds. And then on Friday, Kindersley will be in Nipawin for a good one. And again, Nipawin can play spoilers in this one. It's a big game for Kindersley. They need it. Melville will be in Weyburn for a Viterra Division clash. Humboldt will be in Yorkton. This is the one, right?
No.
No, not even this one.
0 for 2, Clark.
I gotta read
3 strikes, Clark.
I gotta read the schedule before
we have
I say
Saturdays?
stuff.
You're a big baseball. You're a big
Estevan's
baseball
in
guy.
Battlefords, Flin Flons in Melfort for a huge heavyweight clash for the end of the season. Okay, Saturday. Let's look at Saturday.
We might not even
Do we have
Saturday.
it?
No, that would have been
2
the
strikes
one,
and you're out.
that would have been the one, though.
Well, that would have been the one.
Strikeout right there.
Rory's not watching his game on Saturday. Is the joke? That's the joke. Guys, final words on.
Can I have a bonus Nugs and Note point?
Sure.
Yeah.
Just a quick bonus one.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Ed Zawatsky.
Yeah.
They retired his number 14.
Oh, geez.
That
Here we
little
go.
guy come back. That guy's gonna have such a big ego. He's gonna be
He's all over
just
the
so
place.
fired up.
He's all
Anyway,
over the place.
yeah, Ed Zawatsky retired, had his number retired in
Yes.
that game against Nipawin when they were in Yorkton there. Didn't go so great for the Terriers on the ice that game, but obviously Ed's son Alec was at Notre Dame briefly as a junior hound, and then also played for the Yorkton Terriers. So cool to see there, and obviously he's been a big fixture, at the Terriers and Yorkton minor hockey just in general. One of the legends of Langenburg, Saskatchewan there,
yeah.
of course, and obviously played for the Terriers many years ago, did Ed. So kudos to Ed and kudos to the Yorkton Terriers.
You know who else is from Langenburg?
Who's that?
Sponsor of the show, Cole Thorpe of
there you
Prairie
go.
Proud Apparel. There you
Cool.
go, Langenburg. What are you looking forward to? Oh, we got Saturday.
That's the game.
That's the game Rory won't watch.
Rory will not be watching this game.
At the CN
because
Community
the
Center.
Kindersley Clippers are playing the Ronge Ice Wolves. Anyways, yeah.
Okay, hold
there
on a
you
second,
go.
though. Look at this week, guys. Look at this week. So let's
Yeah.
go to, you don't have to put the graphics up,
Don't
guys.
put the graphics
You've been working hard as it is back there.
Ralph's
So,
crushing it.
Wednesday, you have Humboldt and Weyburn.
Oh, and Sunday. Sorry, Rory. Kindersley's playing the Ronge.
Wednesday, you have Humboldt and Weyburn. I
Yeah.
know Dazza Mitchell has been out the last 2 games. So if he returns for Wednesday, it's the first
Right.
time he gets to play against his former team. Wednesday, you also have LaRange against Nipawin. LaRange needs valuable points against the Nipawin Hawks. Keep on going throughout the week. Friday, you have Kindersley against Nipawin. Nipawin's been playing spoilers. Kindersley needs to get these valuable points to stay above LaRange. Then you're talking on Friday. Flin Flon and Melfort play Friday and Saturday, a battle of the top 2 teams. You have also Melville taking on Weyburn later on as well, I believe, don't they, or no?
Yep. The
Did I
Viterra
miss
Division.
that?
Yeah, that's on. It's right there.
And
There
that's
you
what
go.
Newsy
Friday.
mentioned.
Friday night.
Melville's trying to get up into 4th place for home ice advantage.
That would be a
so
huge
that
2
game
points
matters.
there.
And then
A
to
4-point
culminate everything, if I haven't missed anyone, you have LaRange and Kindersley on Saturday and
Saturday and
But
Sunday.
we'll really, really, really know like who 1 and 2 are after this weekend.
Yeah, yeah.
Like we will know. Like if Flin Flon wins both and it's a 5-point gap all of a sudden.
Well, then we won't know.
Then we won't know.
It'll be super
but
fun.
If Melfort wins one of those
We'll
two,
know.
Yeah.
I think we'll know.
Yeah. So there you go. Tons of storylines.
Crazy games.
Going
Yeah.
into this weekend, all week long, really. So make sure you check back in. Nugsy and I will have more for you on Thursday. We'll recap kind of the midweek. There's only just really going to be
It
the
was just a
Wednesday game, but
bananas week last week.
Yeah.
So many games. And
Yeah.
then a little bit quieter this week.
a
Don't
little
mind
bit
it.
quieter.
Give us a little rest.
But we'll come back on Thursday. We'll preview the weekend a little bit more with you. We'll recap what happened on Wednesday and so much more. And then we'll be back here next week with Rory on Monday for another SJHL Weekly episode. We only have 3 left.
Give us
3.
that strike call again.
Oh, boy. We only have 3 SJHL
gotta
Weeklies
commit.
You
remaining,
got to commit.
guys.
You have to commit.
3 weeklies remaining, 2 insiders remaining. The third one of weekly is going to be our playoff preview show on the 19th of March. So we're getting there, guys. It's coming down to the nitty gritty, and every point matters. So make sure you get your tickets. But if you can't make it to the rink, make sure you get your Flow Hockey subscription or follow us on all of our social media channels because we'll have you covered on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and of course on YouTube. Make sure you please hit that subscribe button over there. And big thank you to all of our sponsors Borgo, Cantera Seeds, Capital Auto Mall, Sask Lottery, Chevrolet, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Nutrien, Tourism Saskatchewan, UPL, Sask Energy, SGEU, Great Western, SGI, and RBC. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to these gentlemen beside me, Rory and Jamie. Thanks to Bryce and Rolf in the back. There they are. Look at those guys. Hitting all the buttons, doing all the things. Oh, is somebody else back there? Oh, Jacob Faith! Jacob Faith! Now he's going to come running in and come into the camera in here, too. No, don't do it, Jacob.
Let's
Stay
end the
out.
show.
We're going to end the show here. Enjoy the hockey this week, everyone, and we'll see you again on Thursday. Bye for now.
I'm